Hi everybody! Today we're going to be talking about yet another grammar topic. This one is yet another one of those modal auxiliaries. This one is called sollen. Sollen is the version of should or to be supposed to in English. And let's go ahead and start with the conjugation like we have with the other ones. So the first one on here is ich, which is ich soll. Du sollst. Sie es soll. Wir sollen. Ihr sollt. Sie sollen. For each one of these, again, you'll notice that the ich and es forms are the same, and the only thing that's weird happens in those two forms for this particular verb because there's no umlaut and you don't have a stem change, and it's not nearly as strange as some of the other ones. But anyway, sollen means should or to be supposed to. In section 2, we're supposed to translate the following sentences from English to German. The first one here says, Hans should clean the living room. So we start off with the idea that Hans doesn't change. It's still Hans because we don't change his name just because it's a different language. Should, in this case, is going to have to be conjugated to go with Hans, which means soll. The word to clean, the one that I'm going to use anyway, is aufräumen, which is to clean up. In this case, we're going to have to shove it to the end of the sentence because we have soll in the sentence, and then we're going to have to put in the direct object, the living room, with das Wohnzimmer, in between the modal auxiliary and the infinitive at the end of the sentence. So our full sentence ends up reading out as Hans soll das Wohnzimmer aufräumen. Hans should clean the living room. Number 2, I should eat vegetables. We start off with the idea that I is ich in German. Then we have the conjugation of sollen to go with I, which would be soll. And then eat has to be shoved to the end of the sentence as the infinitive form, which would be the verb essen. And then vegetables in German, which is Gemüse, goes in between the modal auxiliary and the infinitive at the end of the sentence. Ich soll Gemüse essen. I should eat vegetables. Number 3. It is supposed to rain today. Normally this would probably be used with a subjunctive form, but let's just hypothetically say that it's not for today, okay? First off, we need to know that it in this case is going to have to be es. Supposed to is going to be translated as sollen, but we have to conjugate that to go with it, which in this case is es, so we have es soll. Then we have when it's supposed to rain, in this case today, heute, and then at the end of the sentence, the verb to rain, which is regnen, in its infinitive form. So the full sentence is Es soll heute regnen. It should rain today, or it's supposed to rain today. Number 4, Nummer 4. Sophia should go to the store. In this one, we start off with the idea that Sophia doesn't change her name just because she's speaking German, and so we say Sophia. Then we have to conjugate sollen to go with Sophia, which is the es form, soll. To the store would be the next thing that we need in this sentence, and I chose the phraseology of in den Laden, although there's probably other options that you could choose here. And the last thing in the sentence we don't necessarily have to have, but we could say at the end, gehen. So the full sentence is Sophia soll in den Laden gehen. You don't really need to have gehen at the end of the sentence because in den Laden already implies that you're going into it as opposed to just being in it, but you could at least say it at the end of the sentence if you really wanted to. Number 5. The students should be nice. First of all, we have to identify which type of students we're talking about. If we're talking about high school age or lower, we're going to need the word here, die Schüler, for the students. If we're talking about college-age students, we're going to be using the word Studenten. At any rate, it's still going to be plural, so the conjugation of sollen is always the same. It's still just sollen for the Z form. Nett is the way that we need to say nice, and then sein at the end of the sentence for the form of to be, which is the infinitive form, sein. Die Schüler, or die Studenten, sollen nett sein. The students should be nice. Number 6, Nummer 6. We should go to the movies. We is always translated as wir. If it's not, it becomes us in English or uns in German. Should, in this case, is going to have to be conjugated to go with wir, which is sollen. To the movies in German is ins Kino, literally into the theater. And then go at the end of the sentence in the infinitive form, which is gehen. Wir sollen ins Kino gehen. We should go to the theater. Number 7. You, plural informal, which would be the ear form, should eat carrots. You should eat carrots. Ihr is the form that we need to begin with. Then we have to conjugate sollen to go with ihr, which is sollt. Ihr sollt Karotten oder Möhren essen. Möhren is a different version of Karotten, but it depends on where you live in order to figure out which version of Karotten you're actually going to use. But essen has to go at the end of the sentence no matter what. Nummer 8. You, singular informal, should do your homework. If the singular informal, we would have to use du. So we start our sentence with du, and then the conjugated form of sollen that goes with that, sollst, and then your homework, deine Hausaufgaben, and then the verb to do at the end of the sentence as the infinitive, machen. Du sollst deine Hausaufgaben machen. You should do your homework. There's the same problem that we had with können whenever we're talking about sollen, and that is that it could also be translated a lot of the time with the subjunctive mood, which would be like sollte and a few other weird little things that happen. But for the purposes of this particular exercise, we're just going to say that these are all things that are in the present indicative instead of saying it as the subjunctive. So for those Germans who are out there who are going to tell me that I'm wrong because of all of these sentences and blah, 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 well, yeah, I get that it should probably be subjunctive for most of them. In fact, the sentence that I just said of they should probably be, that's actually subjunctive in both languages. But anyway, if you're one of those people, congratulations, you're right, but there's nothing I can do about that because we're talking about the present tense indicative at this point, and so we are going to have to wait on the whole subjunctive thing until some other time. In the meantime, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, think of it this way. If you mean that you should do something and there's no and ifs or buts about it, that means that you should be using the forms that I used in this video. If there's a hypothetical, specifically like you're unsure of the future events, if it's supposed to be doing something or it should maybe if something else happens, then you're going to be using the subjunctive, which is not in this video. So anyway, now that I've got that little disclaimer covered, I'm going to go ahead and say my outro. Bye now. See some stuff, click some stuff, look at the video, and some other stuff, whatever you want to do, and click some buttons. Bye now.